So, if you thought the future of education was just, adding tablets to classrooms, well, prepare for a fundamental system reboot.
Yeah, a total reboot.
We're diving deep today into something called KAZHIVE, an International Life Skills Development and Survey Academy. And it's a truly revolutionary model coming out of Kerala, India.
And it's designed to tackle a silent epidemic, really, the kind of intense stress and just crippling anxiety we see in student life pretty much everywhere.
It feels so necessary.
Oh, it is. I mean, the traditional exam-centric model is genuinely failing its main clients, the students themselves.
Right.
Our sources, they paint a really stark picture. We're talking about data showing 60% of urban Indian students are battling severe anxiety.
60%?
And 70% are enduring moderate to severe stress. Then you add that a 20% rise in youth suicides just last year, and you realize the system is a factory for burnout, not for growth.
That perfectly sets the stage for our deep dive then. KAZHIVE, which fittingly means talent or ability, is trying to pivot students completely away from that survival mode.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to really unpack this framework, to understand how it promises not just, better grades, but true holistic growth.
Right.
Real resilience.
And what's so fascinating here is the visionary behind it all, Mohanakrishnan M.T.
Okay.
He came up with this entire ambitious plan at the age of 61. And when you look at his background, it all starts to make sense. He's a former NSG commando, a UN peacekeeper,
the commando,
and a certified yoga instructor. Yeah, he worked in these high-stress, war-torn regions.
Wow, that is an incredibly unique resume for an educational reformer. Usually it's academics or policymakers.
Right.
So how do those seemingly separate roles, military discipline and spiritual practice, how do they translate into a school curriculum?
Well, they translate into resilience and into immediate actionable problem solving. His commando and peacekeeper experience instilled this absolute need for mental fortitude, for discipline, the ability to operate under immense pressure.
I see.
So he defines KAZHIVE not as a place for just, accumulating knowledge, but as a complete system for the body, mind, and life. It's all about seeking insight.
Insight.
Yeah, a profound intuitive understanding you get through active inquiry. The goal isn't just to make smart kids, it's to build thinking citizens.
Okay, let's unpack the core mechanics then.
Yeah.
Because this is where the fusion gets really, really interesting. KAZHIE is built on 3 pillars that seem to bridge the ancient world with the future. First, the ancient root, yoga.
Yoga is the foundation, the absolute discipline at the base of it all. And it's not just, a daily exercise routine. It's about cultivating your inner landscape. It builds that mental fortitude, serenity, self-control. It was what Model calls samatva, a state of internal balance. The argument is, without that stable internal operating system, a student just can't handle the stress of modern life.
Let alone the speed of information they're constantly bombarded with.
Exactly.
And speaking of speed, the second pillar just leaps straight into tomorrow's catalyst, artificial intelligence, AI. How does a model that's rooted in ancient self-control embrace something so fast and disruptive?
It embraces it as the ultimate tool for personalized learning. It's not a replacement for the human connection. That's key.
All right.
AI is used to manage just huge amounts of data from surveys.
So it's identifying struggles.
Right. Not just academic struggles, but emotional and social ones too.
Yeah.
It then tailors personalized learning paths. The sources even say it's used for real-time feedback, like assessing and refining your yoga postures or breath control.
Wow, okay. So AI refines the physical and mental discipline you need to even engage with the material? That actually makes a lot of sense. And the third pillar, that's the practical content itself, the life skills component, which they call their ABCDZ framework.
Yes, the A to Z framework. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's a set of 30 foundational principles, and it's designed to instill, basically every facet of a successful life.
Yeah.
It goes way beyond just math or history.
Can you give us a broader sense of that framework? I mean, what kind of breadth are we talking about here?
Well, you can see the whole journey in it. It starts with the practical, like A for action, so active engagement, not just passive waiting.
Right.
Then it moves quickly to character traits, like C for compassion and D for discipline. It addresses physical needs with H for health, and societal awareness with G for global thinking beyond your local borders.
And I noticed the framework also feels very modern. It's not just old principles.
Absolutely. It directly addresses the digital world with V for virtual, which is about the judicious, responsible use of technology.
So important.
And it also includes motivational elements like P for progress, continuous development, And it all culminates naturally with Z for zeal. Enthusiasm, passion.
And they don't just stop at the alphabet, do they? They weave in these traditional Indian philosophical concepts too.
Correct. And these are like the cross-cutting themes that give the whole framework its depth.
Yeah.
You see worship, but it's interpreted as dedication to your actions, or karma.
Okay.
Then there's devotion, bhakti, jnanam, which is like wisdom from inquiry, and this ideal of a royal or regal life, living with dignity and purpose. It grounds everything.
That brings us right to the methodology, which feels like the engine for this whole model. It's this 3-step mantra: survey, skill, serve.
And this cycle is the absolute antithesis of the exam system. It starts with the survey. They use AI-driven data collection to find real, urgent problems in the community.
So not theoretical case studies from a textbook?
No, not at all. They're looking at, say, local health issues, the financial literacy levels in their own neighborhood, or specific environmental problems right there.
So once the problem is identified through that survey, the student moves to the skill phase.
Exactly. The skill is acquiring whatever ability or training is needed to solve that specific problem. If the survey shows a high rate of waterborne disease, the skill might be learning water purification techniques.
Or how to lobby the local government for better infrastructure.
Precisely.
And the final payoff, the whole point of the education, is serve. Applying that skill as a service back to society, creating tangible value.
Oh.
It sounds incredibly meaningful, but also demanding.
The emphasis is on performance, but performance for the community. It shifts the entire purpose of education from just, getting a good grade for yourself to societal accountability. The learning has an immediate impact, and that, the founders argue, is the ultimate stress reducer, having a purpose.
This shift is massive, and it raises a big question. How do you replace the textbook and the exam? I mean, what is the actual medium of learning here?
That would be the video book revolution. It's a radical departure. Instead of spending months on dense, static texts, the whole process revolves around short, dynamic, research-backed video content.
Okay, tell us how that works, because making videos sounds like a lot of production work. Who's making them? And how does this not just become another stressful assignment?
That's the critical point. So it starts with the teacher or the department. Their workload actually gets streamlined. They create a foundational, highly researched 5-minute video book on a topic. They become content masters, not just lecturers.
And then the student takes over. But a 5-minute video book every week? How does that reduce stress? That sounds like the exact opposite.
That's where the smart use of AI and collaboration comes in. The student isn't starting from a blank slate. They use these new AI tools. The sources mention things like Grok or Notebook LM to rapidly do more research, synthesize complex data, and hone their own inquiry.
So the AI acts as a research assistant, cutting down the grunt work.
Precisely. So the student can focus on creative synthesis. They then create their own 5-minute video book. But crucially, this isn't a solo test. It's presented in class for collaborative review, for discussion, for continuous improvement.
I see.
And then it's published on an app. It turns a stressful, lonely test into an active, collaborative, creative project. It also makes the knowledge shareable globally almost instantly.
This move from passive consumption to active creation it's profound. And I understand this progression is tailored across the student's entire life.
Absolutely. It's structured by developmental stage. So, 2 to 3-year-olds are learning through observation. 7 to 9-year-olds are already focusing on self-awareness and goal setting.
A huge departure from just learning the alphabet by rote.
A world away.
And as they get older, the application becomes almost professional, right?
Exactly. That's the prep for the serve component. In 8th standard, a student has to focus on creating a personal product. So, translating skills into a tangible outcome, basic entrepreneurship. And then in 9th standard, it's required internships and real-world exposure. It bridges the classroom with the professional world long before they graduate.
So if this all succeeds, what are the expected long-term outcomes for the individual student?
For the student, the gains are immediate. A stress-free learning environment, naturally developing communication skills through the videos, deep self-reflection, and of course the power to solve real-life problems. And crucially, the model is designed to uplift all children, regardless of their perceived intellectual ability.
Right, it values purpose over just academic competition.
Exactly.
But the societal goals outlined in the documents, they are maybe the most staggering part of this. This isn't just about making better students, it's a plan for global social restructuring.
The vision is enormous. The sources state clear objectives like eliminating alcohol and drug use, promoting organic farming, fostering a deep love of nature and patriotism, even creating global alliances. They want to fundamentally change the economic landscape by teaching citizens how to generate and distribute wealth.
An ambition that big, especially with high-tech AI on a global scale, sounds astronomically expensive. Is this financially viable, or is it just reliant on charity?
This is where the planning gets intensely entrepreneurial. KAZHIVE aims for self-sufficiency within just 3 years.
3 years? How?
Through a highly diversified revenue model. The documents detail over 35 potential revenue streams.
35? So beyond tuition, we're talking about creating an entire economic ecosystem around the school.
We are. Students are part of the economy. Revenue comes from, say, external yoga classes, specialized AI consulting services, sales from organic nurseries, and fish farms that the students actually manage.
That's part of their curriculum.
Yes. Corporate leadership training based on KAZHIVE principles, wellness tourism. They even plan for EV charging stations and student accommodations. It's a completely integrated financial model built for growth.
And the global ambition is 20% annual growth, expansion into 20-plus nations. That is an immense undertaking. But the founder noted that initial support has been limited, so where does the rubber meet the road? What's needed to turn this blueprint into a reality?
Well, the founder frames this not as an option, but as a necessary revolution.
Yeah.
And it requires immediate widespread support. It can't succeed in a vacuum.
So who needs to step up?
It requires support across 3 big sectors. First, tech innovators. They are critical to build and manage the AI application and the platform. That's the nervous system of the whole model.
Okay.
Second, policymakers and government. You need official policy support. You can't transform education at this scale without systemic backing.
And finally, the people on the front lines, the community.
Precisely. You need parents and teachers who are willing to pilot these programs. Parents reinforcing the principles at home, teachers shifting their mindset to create those video books, and schools bravely opening their doors for a pilot run.
And this also means acknowledging the challenges, right? I mean, transforming a traditional system isn't easy.
No, and they're realistic about the hurdles. Changing that deeply ingrained, exam-focused mindset of parents and teachers is probably the biggest cultural challenge.
I can imagine.
Then there's the logistical hurdle of infrastructure, reliable internet, devices, especially in rural areas, and of course the sheer upfront capital cost of launching a global AI-driven app.
What's so fascinating here, as we synthesize this, is how KAZHIVE solves this core tension of modern life. It uses the ancient wisdom of yoga to stabilize the mind, making the individual resilient and focused, while at the same time leveraging the immense power of AI to personalize learning and drive community action. It really does move the student from just survival to purposeful living.
And that purpose is rooted in action. The framework puts it perfectly. True progress emerges when education fuels action, and action refines understanding. It's a feedback loop of growth.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner, today? The KAZHIVE model is really asking you to shift your focus. I mean, in your own learning, your career, are you primarily focused on acquiring knowledge, just reading the textbook, passing the test, or are you prioritizing the actionable insight that refines your understanding and creates real value? How would your life change if you consciously adopted that survey, skill, or serve cycle right now, using your own talent to actively address a struggle you see in your community? The founder's call is for us all to become trees of light, spreading the radiance of success. What light are you prepared to spread?